I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of November 25th, 2015, Thanksgiving edition. How are you? Good. All right. So, many years in the making, and finally here we have Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. Not sure I approve of that title, but...
Yeah. To be fair, that was the least volatile title Frank Miller suggested.
Yes. So this is Frank Miller working with the always talented Brian Azzarello and the pretty much always awesome Andy Kubert on art, telling us the third chapter in the Dark Knight saga. So to refresh your memories, Frank Miller wrote The Dark Knight Returns back in 1985-86. Must be 86 because the 30th anniversary is next year. They've been touting that. So kind of and Dark Knight Returns changed the landscape of comics forever. That together with Watchmen, it was the 1-2 punch that DC put out in 85, 86 that just cracked the world in half for the most part. These were comics aimed at adults, dealing with adult themes, and really cemented the fact that not all comics are for kids. And both of them are perennial bestsellers. They continue to sell year after year because they're just that good. So, Miller returns to Batman, which he hasn't done in quite a while. Let's not even talk about The Dark Knight Strikes Again, which was the second entry in the saga, and only pick that up if you're interested in torturing yourself. And if you're a sadomasochist, then yes, pick up Dark Knight Strikes Again.
If you believe that suffering in this life will bring you better life in the next, then Dark Knight 2 is for you.
So the good news is that, judging by the first issue alone, DK3 is significantly better than The Dark Knight Strikes Again. So there's not a whole lot that I can say without spoiling stuff in here, but this is the Dark Knight universe. We see familiar DC characters and where they are now, where they are in the future, I should say. Kubert does an excellent job of melding Miller's art style and his own art style so that it does look similar to what Miller has done in the previous two series, but also has an Andy Kubert slant to it. And I gotta say, I didn't see the ending coming, so that the ending definitely was a payoff, I think, and leaves you with questions by the time you get to it. So this is book 1 of 8, if I'm not mistaken. Inside each of the regular issues is also a mini-comic that takes place within the Dark Knight universe, and this one is written by Frank Miller, artwork by Klaus Janson and Frank Miller, I believe, and focuses on the Atom. So, and it ties in with what's going on in the larger story. It's kind of a weird format. It's glued into the middle of the book, so you want to go past it when you're reading the main story and then circle around and come back to it. But I enjoyed it. I think that if you're a Batman fan, this is a must-buy. Also want to mention, and we've talked about it before, there is going to be a collector's edition of each issue that comes out 2 weeks after.
I think it's supposed to be 3.
2 to 3 weeks after the regular issue comes out. It's going to be hardcover. It has the mini comic as a full-size comic, and I assume it will be at the back of the book rather than in the middle of the book. And then at the end of the 8 issues, there will be a slipcase that comes out with new artwork by Jim Lee, kind of as an homage to Frank Miller's original artwork on The Dark Knight Returns. So, Dark Knight 3 is here. Come and get it.
First up for me this week, we've got Ringside, number 1 from Image, written by Joe Keating, and there's too many names on the cover for Josh to parse. There we go. Yeah, art by Nick Barber. This is the story of a past his prime wrestler, and we're talking professional wrestling, WWE, sports entertainment, not like Olympic wrestling, not Greco-Roman wrestling. And this is really cool. He's out of the deal for a while, and this is obviously from a real world perspective. They're not pretending any of the fighting is real. But if you're one of those people who loves to watch SmackDown and Raw and kind of see the overarching story, sees it as entertainment, this is a great pickup. It deals with management and the wrestlers and the jobbers, and it's just very cool. I am not a huge wrestling fan. I used to watch it a lot in high school and college, and I really dug the heck out of it. And it is definitely by the end of the issue, it's getting heavy. Some of his friends are in trouble in the real world, and he's going to take care of it. Freaking Death Wish style, it looks like.
Style. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
Something different.
Definitely.
Yeah. Something not so different. Superman, Lois, and Clark, issue number 2, written by Dan Jurgens, artwork by Lee Weeks, the always awesome Lee Weeks. This is the Superman book I want to read. This is, again, Lois and Clark from a different Earth that essentially is the Lois and Clark that we knew before the New 52. They have a child. They are now on the primary Earth. They're now on the main DC Universe Earth. They're in hiding. And, Superman, a.k.a. Clark Kent, continues to do what he needs to do. He's basically working in his civilian guise as a farmhand, but then also going out incognito to right wrongs and keep everyone safe. Lois is working as a writer, but she's writing anonymously. She's also doing kind of puff pieces for the local town paper. And then we get little John Kent, who's wielding a crowbar.
No.
Oh, sorry.
It's not the last name. They have fake last names because they can't be the Kents.
What is their last name?
It's like White?
Whites. It's
from
the
Harry.
Whites.
Yeah, I would assume.
The Whites and the Master Race, both coming out from DC Comics this week, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know what's up with that. But the artwork on this is awesome. Jurgens has written so many Superman stories. He knows these characters like the back of his hand. So if you're looking for kind of that classic Superman feel, you absolutely want to check out Lois and Clark.
From Marvel this week, we've got S.H.I.E.L.D. number 12. This is the last issue in the S.H.I.E.L.D. series, just in time for there to be another S.H.I.E.L.D. series in 2 months. Everything's fine. Written by Mark Waid, art by Joe Bennett, or Joe Beignet, possibly. I don't know.
No, that's not.
No, don't bring that up. This is actually the best issue of S.H.I.E.L.D. they've done so far. I was super impressed with it. Mark Waid does a great job of doing an anthology kind of team-up book where there's different heroes every week. But this one was the first one that felt like a S.H.I.E.L.D. book. So, something goes wrong. Some weird, random time traveler villain who may or may not have been in the Marvel Universe before. It's Mark Waid, so he was probably in some random 70s book and popped back up today. Kills Odin. And Asgard does not like that. Asgard thinks Earth's responsible. The 10 realms go to pot. There's a giant war. Everything's bad. The first thing Asgard does, because they're not idiots, is kill the Avengers. All the Avengers are dead. So the person left to take care of this stuff is Phil Coulson. So he gets the S.H.I.E.L.D. team together, essentially the S.H.I.E.L.D. team from the TV show, and goes to Asgard to get this taken care of. And it is awesome. It is everything I want to read in a Phil Coulson comic. If you're an Avengers fan, if you're a fan of the TV show and the movies, you totally check this out. It's great. Best one-off in a long time.
Well, and we should say the whole series was really strong. It was very much like, I don't want to say very much, but the Adventures of Superman series, where each issue was a standalone story, and they were told kind of outside of continuity. I don't know what's going on with continuity in this, obviously.
It's in continuity. It's done in one, though, and I did mention time travel already once, so you know.
Time travel. All new Wolverine issue number 2 is out this week. Issue number 1 was out 2 weeks ago. This is X-23 as all new Wolverine. She's uncovered an Orphan Black style kind of plot that happens in Paris where someone's trying to blow up some stuff, and she catches the bomber in the first issue, and at the end of the issue we realize that it looks just like her. So there may be some extra Laura X-23 clones running around. She has this relationship with Warren Worthington, young Warren Worthington of the all-new X-Men fame. So he shows up every once in a while. But really, the star of this book is X-23, or Wolverine. It's just really solid. And I have to give the credit to Tom Taylor, the writer, who wrote Injustice, Gods Among Us over at DC. He wrote Superior Iron Man. Really one of my favorite new writers. And he may have been writing for a while, but he's new to me. Well, Injustice has been out for, 2 years?
I think we're starting year 5.
No.
No,
really?
I think this month's
they
catalog
operate
has
on
year 5
calendar
on
years,
it.
or is it...
Oh, I don't know about that. Well, yeah, they're 10 or 12 issues. So
wow.
It's close.
Very talented writer. If you want to read good stories, good Marvel action stories, then you want to check out All New Wolverine. I'm really digging it. Artwork, by the way, is by David Lopez and David Navarrete, but primarily David Lopez.
sometimes the things I recommend are for everybody, and sometimes they are not. This is one of those that may fall into the later category. This is Transformers: Sins of the Wreckers, written by Nick Roche, maybe, Rachi, and Rock. Get him, Rock. And art by Josh Burcham. So, I'll tell you about another story. About, 6 years ago.
A story about Jesus?
Yes, a story about Jesus.
Tell us more.
There's this Middle Eastern couple that needs a place to stay, and nobody wants to let them in. So, Last Stand of the Wreckers came out about 6 years ago, written by Nick Roche, or Rock. And it was the story of a mission that the Wreckers went on, and I know jack all about Transformers. Like, I watched the cartoon when I was little, but I remember next to nothing of it plot-wise. I remember there was a robot that turned into a T-Rex. And I loved Last Stand of the Wreckers. It was a great, self-contained, kind of wild bunch story. The Wreckers are these, Autobots that get stuff taken care of in the dirtiest way possible, and a lot of them come back dead. And this was a mission of immense importance. And that was it. It was a self-contained issue. Some of the characters trickled into the long-term Transformers books, and some of the plot lines did. But by and large, it was self-contained. Until now. Now we get Sins of the Wreckers. We're seeing the fallout from what happened in Last Stand of the Wreckers, and it's amazing. The way he writes these characters that I know nothing about and makes me care about them on every page is great. So if you care even a little bit about Transformers, you totally want to check this out. And Last Stand of the Wreckers is in trade. I highly recommend it as well.
Speaking of trades, we've got 2 new Marvel trades out this week that we highly recommend. The first one is 1872. Marvel 1872, which if you've watched our previous episodes, you know that we both really enjoyed the 1872 miniseries set in the Secret Wars storyline. 1872 takes place in the town of Timely, which has basically 1872 versions of familiar Marvel characters. You've got Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, Steve Rogers, and Red Wolf. Red Wolf, never mind. Red Wolf is a central character to the story, and if you don't know Red Wolf, he is a Native American character that has been around in Marvel Comics for decades. It's just awesome. If you want to read, a Clint Eastwood style Western set within the Marvel universe, it's just so good. In fact, the pull quotes on here are "rootin' tootin' good time," according to IGN.com, and "I'm not a fan of Westerns, but this comic may have just changed my opinion of them," from ComicWow.com. So pick it up. I should mention that there will be a Red Wolf series spinning out of that, which is set in the same time period. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, Old Man Logan, set within the Secret Wars universe, not to be confused with the original Old Man Logan, which should be on your bookshelf, is out, written by Brian Michael Bendis, artwork by Andreas Sorrentino, and this is all kinds of awesome, and basically introduces Old Man Logan into the 616 Marvel Universe, the main Marvel Universe, by the end of the story. This book is freaking phenomenal, says Ain't It Cool News. Not only is this a must-read for fans of the original, it's a must for anyone who likes good comics, according to IGN.com. Couldn't agree more.
Remember when pull quotes were from, things that were printed?
And not websites?
Yeah.
We're going to send in some pull quotes.
Right. Next up for me, I've got some public service announcements. Marvel continues their onslaught of number ones. First up, we've got Venom Space Knight, number 1, written by Robbie Thompson with art by Ariel Olivetti. And this follows Flash Thompson Venom when he's off in space doing stuff, not as part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but as the protector of...
An agent of
the
Cosmos,
I think. Yeah, Agent of Cosmos. I think it's related to Dick Grayson, Agent of Spiral. I don't know. But it was a lot of fun seeing him be basically a secret agent. Not even secret agent, just going around having adventures on his own. Silk number 1 by Robbie Thompson again. Another Robbie Thompson.
Robbie Thompson week. Get Alter Ego Comics.
With art by Stacy Lee. This picks up essentially where Silk number 1 left off. I actually really like this one because they gave us something. Silk was a great character when she was introduced in the Amazing book by Dan Slott. But once you've kind of set her off in her own life, she's just sort of like a lady Peter Parker who's missing some time. So I really like the angle they gave it in this and gave her a kind of her own story, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, written by Norman Reeder. No, not Norman Reeder.
Norman Reedus?
Norman Reedus, he writes
Amy
that.
Reeder.
Amy Reeder. Art by...
It's 2 writers, actually.
Oh, it's Brandon Montclair and Amy Reeder. Art by Natasha Bustos. Honestly, I don't know if I can pronounce any of the names.
Best part of the
on
show
this page.
right here when we try and pronounce people's last names.
Or first names sometimes. So this is a reimagining of Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur We actually do get the original Moon Boy in here, as well as the Moon Girl in the current continuity. I liked this a lot more than I expected. I was didn't even really want to read it, but I did for you, and I'm glad I did. Very light, very fun, very relatable new character. Plus, there's a giant T-Rex in it. I don't know what more you want out of life.
So if you like books like Unbeatable Squirrel Girl or the new Ms. Marvel, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is for you. All right, so question of the week returns. So Jessica Jones has been on Netflix for a week by the time you see this. Have you checked it out? If so, do you like it? No spoilers, please, because we're not done with the series. The only way you can be done with the series is if you're unemployed or if you have a lot of free time on your hands. I don't know.
It's only 13 episodes.
So the Jessica Jones series has been on Netflix. I'm, at the time of recording right now, 4 episodes in, really enjoying it, and looking forward to seeing what happens next. And looking forward to Daredevil Season 2 hitting Netflix as well. Have you started it?
I have not.
What is wrong with you?
Life. Life is
wrong with Josh. Okay, so that's it for this week. Share your thoughts on Jessica Jones, but again, no spoilers, please. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, give us a thumbs up over on the side over there, and we'll see you next time.